All right, we are getting ready. Let me know if you can't see my screen. I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple of tests as we get everybody in here. All right, welcome, welcome. I really want to say thanks for being here. Hey, and let me just tell you what we're actually doing in this whole series that we're doing around foundations and AI in particular, right? It's simple. We're building a mini you, not some robot that's going to replace you. Nothing like that at all. Promise. Okay. The version of you that carries the junk clogging up your brain, right? All that admin, all of the checklists, this administrative stuff, it's all eating space it hasn't earned. And you know exactly the stuff I mean, right? And you know that feeling of, oh, I know I saved it somewhere, or that thing you rewrite 1,000 times. Hey, all of those things is really what does not deserve room in your head at all, right? So today we start building the mini you that gets to hold all the rest of the stuff that doesn't matter. And it starts with one thing, guys. It's your own knowledge in one place that can finally answer you back, right? And that's really what part one of this Clone Yourself series is, right? We build a mini you one layer at a time, your brain, your voice, what we call your fence. And the fence really is just the safeguards that we put in place to make sure AI isn't just running rampant without you. Hey, your reach. Hey. So this week is the brain, because a clone with nothing in its head, useless, right? So first we give it your knowledge to pull from. And that's the thing. We're not grabbing from prompts from other people, right? Like that's really not what we're interested in. We're going to build yours, right? We're taking your notes, your frameworks, your way of saying things. That's what makes it you, not some generic assistant that sounds like everybody else, right? You guys know this, okay? You've seen it, what AI, particularly the generative AI, does to voice. It just flattens all nuance, doesn't it? And so, okay, let's keep that in mind and make sure that we are ring fencing it so that way we don't end up sounding like some generic AI bot. Okay. For some foundation setting, everything I teach and we teach through Commons Academy sits in one simple spine, right? We find the friction, what's eating our time, what could safely be, augmented away. So that way we can amplify the things that truly only humans can do. Fence, how do we make sure as we are building and reimagining the way we work, the way our teams work with us, how are we keeping the humans fully in control? Guys, it's a co-pilot. You are still the pilot, okay? And so we need to be very clear about what AI can and cannot do, when it can and cannot do things, and how it can and cannot do things, right? So we're going to dig into it. And then finally, we have Forge, right? And this is really where we put it to work on your real stuff. And then we build little helpers that do the repeat jobs for you, right? The whole point is that you're forging this new capability, right? In the age of AI, the rote, the routine, all of that we can start to assess and start to reimagine, what if agents take care of this? What does that look like then for me in my operating context? And this is an important one, right? Your operating context, your lived experience, all of this comes into play. Yeah. So be mindful of that. Yeah. Don't assume one size fits all is just going to work. Okay. Adapt, figure out what really does meet the moment for where you are, for where your folks are, right? If you're a team leader, if you're building a business, if you're just in a household and you're trying to wrangle, right? Meet people where they're at, not where you want them to be. Okay. That'll cause a lot of frustration. So meet them where they're at. Yeah. And here's the promise from us. Hey, at the end of that hour together today, right, you're going to have a piece of your mini you, right? We're going to have our second brain. We're doing it in NotebookLM. I'll tell you why in a moment, but it's going to be something that you built, right, from our blank page. This isn't theory. This isn't you leaving with notes. This is a real thing that you can ask questions and it'll answer you from your source materials. Okay. in this session, what we'll do is watch it come together live. Hey, I'll show you what to feed it. I'll show you what I leave out of it. And you, the person, the human, right? How the human stays in charge of every call that matters along the way. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we'll get into clean inputs and clean outputs. Yeah. In terms of what we want to include and what we want to not include. But first, what we're going to do is go into NotebookLM. Now, why? Why NotebookLM? Hey, one big reason. It knows only what you give it. So it's not out there on the internet just trying to make things up. Hey, it's private, it's free, guys. And you can't really beat free and private these days. And it makes genuinely useful stuff. I call it my modern day Cliff Notes, right? It'll give me a podcast to listen to on a report that's 80 pages that I was never actually going to read, right? I can get a summary. I can query it. I can create an infographic. We can do so much with some of the tools. And again, it's not about not doing things. It's about freeing ourselves up to where we can focus on the things where we can truly add even more value. If a bot can synthesize, if they can generate a reasonable first draft in your voice, right? In your vibe and your feeling, why wouldn't you? Okay. That's exactly what we want to do. Hey. And what I love is, the audio overview, that podcast is like two people sitting around talking through your thinking, right? So it's just another brainstorming point. It's hard out there on them streets. Hey, we're not hiring as much, we're really being mindful of headcount. So again, it is all just how do we go farther? How do we go faster? And what are the tools that we can use to do those things? All right, enough of that yammering on. Let's build. I am going to change my screen so I can share the screen for the second brain. So when you go in to NotebookLM, you'll see my screen now, hey? Again, think modern day Cliff Notes, okay? You'll sign in with your Google account. You're gonna wanna name it something clear, hey? So here you'll go to create new notebook. You'll see I've already done the second brain. That way we move through this series a little bit faster on the call today. But you wanna name it something clear, right? So whatever makes sense to you. I just called mine my second brain. Yours might be my work brain. Maybe you create one for your home brain, right? For today, we're just going to focus on creating one notebook to start. Hey, you can always spin up more later. As you can see, I have dozens of them. Yeah. And so even in this first step, guys, I want to just stress how humans stay in control. It can create its own title for you. Yeah. But one of those very first steps we take as the human in the loop is that AI doesn't get to name our notebooks, right? So you go in and you add your own, right? So let me show you what this would look like if you created new from scratch, eh? So the first thing it asks you to do is upload files. You can X out of that, you go up into the upper left and you create the actual name. Yeah. From there, you can add your sources. Now, this is an important one, hey? And one I don't really want to skip through without really paying attention to it, yeah? You really want to make sure that what you upload is what you need, right? And so for this experiment that we're doing together as we create your voice, the high signal things to feed it are going to be things like your own articles, right? Your own posts, your own newsletters, right? Any signature frameworks or checklists that you've developed, right? If it's in a clean PDF, this is what you're looking for, right? Also, your biography, right? What is your positioning, right? If you have any results or case studies, all of these are incredibly useful, okay? Process documents, playbooks, patterns that you've seen that have been anonymized, right? We're not outing anybody right now. And then voice samples, emails, sessions, outlines, things that are safe to share that have been recorded in the past. These are the golden nuggets to really add to your NotebookLM. Now, for now, we also want to be mindful about what we're leaving out, right? Any raw client data is a no-no, right? We're not doing it. Okay. Anything with personally identifiable information, right? First names, last names, emails, addresses, things like that. No. Okay. Leave it out for now. If you're trying just to test and see how it works, just create a false data set. You can ask your little NotebookLM, or sorry, you can ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever LLM you use, right? You know, create an anonymized data set for me to do testing on, and you can share a sample with it of the columns and rows that you need, and then it will auto populate for you. So that's always an easy way to test stuff. Hey, so I'm going to say it again. Synthetic data is your friend right now, especially if you're not entirely sure what goes in and what stays out. So lean in to that native data, right? You also really don't want to use like anything from a third party, like their books or their courses. Like, if anything's outdated or just not very helpful, that's just noisy, right? You don't want to add noise to your brain. Your brain is already noisy enough. So this really is distilling. And in this point, like we're talking about your voice, how do you share what truly sounds authentically you? So that way it can help you as you move forward. Yeah. Now, one thing I will say in terms of one doc that can really change everything for folks is the glossary and voice instructions. Okay. So this will be in the library at the end of the day today, as we wrap up our encore session this evening. But really, when we're talking about our glossary and voice instructions, this is really you teaching NotebookLM to sound just like you, right? And tell it what your terms mean, so that way it doesn't infer on its own, okay? And so these are my voice instructions that I created. And you might create different voice instructions for different notebooks that you set up, all completely fine, right? What the point here is that you add them into your source document, okay? And so going back to our notebook, let me scroll to the one that I had created for this session today. Yeah. So you can see in my add sources section, I have my glossary and voice, I have my bio, and then I have a couple of field notes as part of my Substack that I write. Okay. So if you publish elsewhere, if you were referring to something that publishes elsewhere that does capture your voice, share that stuff. Hey, this is again the stuff that really does help. Yeah. And so the other thing with the glossary and voice is that it adds standing instructions, which is really lovely. Okay. So it'll tell the LM what you like and what you don't like and how to do it and what to emphasize and what to leave alone. So that way, when you prompt it and get your first output, it's a better output, guys. And that's really the point here. Hey, better outputs matter. You don't want to be going back and forth and back and forth like half a dozen times trying to figure stuff out, right? You really want to be able to give your first input. It should be about 80% there, and then tweak it how you need. Make sure that there's nothing astray. Make sure it didn't get it wrong. Like NotebookLM can still get stuff wrong, like overeager intern style, right? We'll work nonstop, but you still got to have eyes on, and quality control just doesn't go away, right? We definitely don't want it to go away. All right. So for folks that have been building in the background and creating your own notebooks as we've been going along, now is the time where we want to go ahead and query it. Okay. So if you have already uploaded your frameworks and your terms, the next thing is to start asking it questions, right? And I really think this is where the fun starts. Okay. It's the point where NotebookLM has now reviewed all my sources, right? And so I can ask it real questions. And instead of hallucinating and making stuff up and going to the internet and getting all kinds of random unverified facts, it's only looking at what I gave it, what I fed it, right? That's its brain. The thing I love is that it'll cite everything it says from the sources I've provided. Yeah. And so for folks that are building in real time, go ahead and ask it questions that matter most to you, right? So let me go into mine so we can have a little go. Now, let's say I just want to know what are the main ideas and principles across everything here, right? It matters. This could matter too, like if you're just starting a new job and you need to get up to stuff, or you're inheriting a new client and there's all this background and contracts and data. Guys, anonymize it, and this is where it could really get good. Hey, I mean, very powerful. Another prompt people might want to go ahead and drop and try. So interestingly enough, you'll see it has a little red. You actually have to stop it. So in NotebookLM right now, it doesn't queue your responses. Some of them will allow you to queue as you go, and then it'll pick it up one by one. This one doesn't. You actually have to wait. But let's go back and look at what the output was. Hey, so the main ideas and principles across everything I've written. And this is the commons, guys, just so you know. We really all about giving you your time back, okay? And how do we make sure you stay in control and know what you need to worry about it, right? What you need to worry about. And so I'm helping non-technical folks. That's exactly correct, right? So give it a whirl. Yeah, there's another prompt here. So summarize how I help to get someone from, let me write mine here, anxiety to agency. Right? And then list the steps and quick wins I emphasize. And again, it's going back to the documents that I sourced about my frameworks specifically on this. It's going to write in my voice, having looked at what I've written in the past in my field notes. It's going to refer to that guidance document around my voice and around the no-goes. So that way, again, that first output becomes much less of a lift than others, right? So kind of brills, hey? So see that? It pulled from different sources. And so the other thing I didn't mention a moment ago, but it's certainly worth mentioning, this 1 and 3, that's my source citation, guys. So it pulls from the sources, it stitches them together, and this is what helps you get those kind of clean outputs, right? Knowing exactly where it came from, that's how you ground it, right? This is how you are able to stay in control the whole time. Yeah. So if you've got your notebook open and you have tried a question, I would love, drop in the chat, send a note, let us know. Like, what are you seeing? Don't overthink it. Just ask it something that you would like to know. Okay. And if it's something good, yeah, we definitely want to celebrate it. Or if it's something crazy, of course, we're going to want to celebrate that too. Okay. So the other exciting bit here, and what I kind of like maybe love the most, I know that's a big statement about NotebookLM, is you'll see over here on the far wall, you have a studio. And this is where that like modern day Clip Notes come in, right? And so I preloaded these ahead of time and had them create. That way we wouldn't get stuck here watching the little thing spin as it creates. But again, for the for the podcast, the audio overview, and then look, you can do slide decks. You can do a video overview, which is basically a deck that is then narrated. Very powerful, guys. Not going to lie. Have used it a lot. A mind map, which is really kind of lovely. Hey, so for my change management and OD folk, right? Organizational design. Hey, click on the mind map because then you can really start to see where all the sources are coming from. And this is also, again, a better way to get to know what you have. And this has been one of the most insightful things as I've gone through this and worked with others. It's just, wow, how much we already have. And if we're only able to organize it in a bit of a better way, that's like 85% of the work already. Okay. It is incredible, which I love. Okay. Okay. So, in terms of, all right, so what does this actually look like, Crystal? So, you'll see over here, we have the audio overview. Here is interactive mode, which I kind of love because you can interrupt it as they're talking in the podcast, like a live audience situation, and ask it questions. Yeah. I'm just going to hit play so you guys can get a sense of what it will do. Yeah. And it does take a moment now to actually kick off. So as that is going, let me download it too in case it gets a bit faster. All right. As that is coming up, you'll see in terms of the menu in the studio, you also have things like reports. So definitely explore, guys. In reports, of course, you can create your own and give it a prompt. but then it already has some pre-made, ready to go ones, a briefing document, a study guide. Hello, right? Helpful. A blog post, guys, a blog post, right? Implementation frameworks, training curriculum, component breakdown, right? Like, how do we really break down essential elements of what is being proposed in our knowledge base in the second brain of ours? What are we seeing component by component? So why do I stress this and why do I flag it? Think about it in terms of what we need to build nowadays, right? Like we really need things to be modular. Yeah. Like how can I plug and play or just redesign and move these little elements around to still be able to help people and to really be able to help even more people because I am able to deconstruct it and reconstruct it. Oh, I hear it. It's up. Okay, let's go.
3 days.
Turn up my volume.
It takes about 90 seconds.
Okay, ready?
And just like plain English. More IT support ticket.
A nightmare.
Right.
Psychology.
Hold on just a second, guys. Okay, so here we go.
Imagine needing to change just a single price on your company's website.
Oh, yeah. A nightmare.
Right. I mean, 10 years ago, that specific task required a literal computer science degree.
Absolutely.
And even
All right, so you guys can get a sense of what it actually does, yeah? Now, if I want to interact with it,
imagine
watch.
needing to change just a single price on your company's website.
Oh, yeah. A nightmare.
Right. I mean, 10 years ago, that specific task required. Hey there. Want to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I want to share my thoughts. What are the main ideas and principles across everything I've written here?
That is a great question.
Yeah, thanks for asking. It really helps set the stage.
Everything Crystal Freeze teaches actually sits on one simple spine.
It's a 3-stage framework called Find, Fence, and Forge.
Exactly. Find is about spotting where AI actually helps.
Starting where the help is obvious and the stakes are low.
Okay, so you guys can get a sense, right? So again, just a very quick way to start to repurpose your content, interrogate your content, onboarding folks. Think about that as well. I mean, again, incredibly powerful in terms of what you can generate and how quickly you can generate it these days. Hey, again, not to say we're outsourcing stuff, the original ideas, frameworks, voice, concepts, yours, right? You're just having someone help you along a little bit more. Okay, so a few other things we're able to create in NotebookLM, which I love. Let me show you the mind map and a couple infographics, hey? You know what, as we're doing this, I'm just gonna click both the slide button and the video overview and let it work in the background. Okay, so I'm gonna do build your own Copilot, yeah? And so again, it'll prompt you on what to focus on, guys. So again, this is kind of brilliant. So here I want to be like, keep it simple and jargon free. So everyone understand why, right? So that's the only little, it's not a topic actually. So maybe I don't want to do that. Well, let's see what happens actually, okay? All right, so now those things are generating in the background. Here's the mind map, yeah? I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. So we're looking at the core of the Commons Academy. So imagine your business here, our philosophy, our frameworks, our methodology, our offerings. And so as you're able to click these, they go deeper, okay? So that way you can truly see everything, yeah? Brilliant. Just incredibly helpful in terms of getting a sense of the universe of your materials, hey? Many people don't know what exists, or it's on a SharePoint, or is in someone's email, et cetera, right? Setting up foundationally this way, where you are building what are called knowledge bases. These are these little mini second brains, right? And they could be second, thirds, fourths. I mean, so many brains, right? For all the different things that you have to focus on, right? Like this is really where you're able to run farther and faster because you're not having to start from zero anymore, because it does know you and your voice. It is truly like having a personal assistant that is just lived and breathed you, your ethos, right? Or your team ethos if you're creating a team knowledge base in Second Brain, or a company or a client, etc. You see where we're going from here, okay? So it all just builds as we're going, okay? So a couple other things to share before we jump off this page. So I also asked it to create some infographics. Do you guys remember, like back in the day, it was just so intense with trying to get design support, right? It's expensive, it takes a while, the back and forth is a lot. Now, look, you're never not going to need a designer. AI has learned on what's out there. You want something fresh, unique, you need someone who knows it. Okay. So, why do I share that out loud? Yeah. AI isn't about replacing people, right? It's about replacing tasks that we don't need people to do anymore. So that way, those people, my designers, aren't doing the piddly stuff, right? For a client that could already easily generate something like this, right? Let me share this one. So this created a short little one-page infographic about my philosophy on the co-pilot mentality, right? Again, how many thousands of dollars, days this would have taken previously, right? Now it's a button click and it's here. Now for me to be able to edit, tweak, move it. Let's say I don't like the coloring and the fonts. You guys saw, right? Like you were able to tell it what you want. Okay. So I can put my brand guides in here. I can put my voice guides in here. This is where the brain matters. Okay. So in your second brain, you're able to give it the parameters to truly be able to generate, right? Generate something useful, generate something of value for you and for your teams, right? If you are someone that works for teams. All right. Now, from here, what you're able to do, guys, is run with it. Now, what will you do? You have your voice. Do you need a business plan? You need a marketing plan, right? So I need some strong marketing flyers that speak to our core program offerings. Okay. Again, you can query it and see what comes back. Sometimes it'll automatically start creating an update for you, which I always kind of love. Sometimes it will create instructions for you then to be able to go off and create it yourself. You can always direct it to create as well. Okay. Mixed reviews on how well that works. Yeah. Like I really wanted it to generate just like a live replay of me presenting a script so I could just listen to it over and over. Some of that rote memorization stuff. It did not do great with stuff like that. Okay. But things like this, look, generate a strong marketing flyer. Okay. So look, it did. It's going to design a 4-page flyer booklet, right? Where each page is designed as a standalone and etc. Yeah. So now here are all the 4 flyers. It tells me what the brand look and feel is going to be. And then it asks me, does this look right? Or do I want to shift it? And so let's say my brand tokens have changed, right? So like the colors that I use, the font that I use, I can update it now and tell it, hey, before you generate it, add in these design components, right? I can tell it like if I don't want to focus on what it has developed for me already, right? So again, the agency this gives you, the ability to just move past that blank page and have something to interact with, that first draft, right, it's so reassuring and it really does, again, free you up for the stuff that adds value that only you as the expert can do, right? The other infographic that I will share with you guys that I liked. Okay, so this one was a little bit different. I asked it for like, give me the whole overview of what we're trying to do in this foundations series, right? And so you'll see we've got our weekly live build sessions. And the whole point, guys, is to move from curious to capable. Hey, 60 minutes is all we need. And we're starting this week, obviously, right? And we are grounding your second brain. And next week, we're going to be moving into the voice part of your brain. Yeah, of your second brain. That way, again, we can really start we can really start to have drafts that sound like something you would send, right? So now that we have created the brain, right, we're going to teach it to write and talk like you. So that again, when that first draft comes out, it's in a pretty good place and it pretty much sounds like what you want. Okay. And then where we go from there, hey, is fence, right? So just those plain English rules for what AI can touch and what it can never touch, right? About where a human's going to be reviewing an output. What human, right? You're going to be able to dig into quality. What does quality look like in the context of what you were trying to create? And this is where folks can start to spin a little, hey? What's good enough? Okay. And I don't mean in a pejorative sense, what's good enough. I mean, what is good enough in the sense of at some point you got to call it and be like, yeah, I love it. Let's do it. That's what we're talking about with good enough, right? Now, codify it in a checklist. That way, someone up and coming, because you don't want to do all this forever either, right? The whole point is how are we creating that ladder for folks then, okay? So what does that checklist start to look like for your young folks that are going to be coming in and onto your teams or, whatever your use case is? How are you teaching whoever isn't you what a good quality output looks like, especially if they don't have lived experience, guys? So again, this is where we're going to be digging into voice and fence to really make sure that we know what we're saying and that we have line of sight to address any quality issues that may arise as we are working. Okay. All right. So the last part of what we'll be building in our free series is reach, right? And this is really how you're going to put this to work so that you show up in more places without you having to do all the work, right? So are you repurposing this content that you've created a knowledge base around for a bit, for a LinkedIn post, an Instagram post, right? A YouTube video? Like, what is it that you're actually trying to accomplish? When we talk reach, we're going to explore the different ways that you can start to repurpose this and share use cases, quite honestly, for again, what can help you in your daily workflows. And then as part of bigger teams and organizations, figure out what is actually going to be best for what you're trying to accomplish. And that's the thing, guys. Yeah. There is a tremendous amount of content out there, right? We are not missing out on content right now. That is not the problem. There's too much. It's hard to know where to start. So start with yours. And then we're going to create all of the foundational elements to really let it run. And you'll have clear line of sight and ownership and control. So that way you don't have to feel anxious about your agent jailbreaking, right? You don't have to feel anxious about clients getting AI slop, right? This is the work. It's intentional architecture, guys, that we are building here. Yeah. And this is something that always in any session I like to wrap up with is what do you want to explore next, right? Whether it's building or exploring the use case, drop it in the chat, send it in an email. We'll read all of them, guys, because the whole point here is really making sure that we're having live sessions and we're having content in the library that helps you run farther, faster in this crazy transformation space we're in. Yeah. I just want to say thanks for spending time with me. Yeah. You didn't have to watch today, but you did. And hopefully, either now or later, you're going to be building that first piece of your mini you, a brain made of all your stuff that can really answer you back. Okay. And that's the room in your head starting to clear, right? You're just making space. All the clutter that was never worth it. The mini you can start to carry that now, right? You're still in control. You're still the pilot. But these tools, they really stop making you wait to make it, right? So go for it, hey? Use it this week. I'm curious to hear what you learn, what you see. Feed it one more thing too, and watch what happens. As you add more sources, it has more context. Guys, remember, context is king. And so when we are thinking about what comes next, and when we are thinking about um, what's useful or what's not, yeah, your context matters. So if it's not useful, figure out where the context is coming from that is creating this response that is not useful to you. Swap it out, delete it, try again, because you can do all of those things. Okay. All right, I have the deck. And so just for some housekeeping items, yeah, the live session will be shared and uploaded to our library. There are templates and toolkits too. So that whole voice, right? Like how to sound like me, the voice and glossary instructions is in the library. All the tools and templates, guys, live in the library, which it is gated. Yeah. So there's a fee for that. If you're having issues, reach out. Yeah. We can see if we can't negotiate or work on something. I would hate a paywall to stop you from running with this. But at the end of the day, the annual for the library is 20 bucks a month. Yeah. Or a little over. How many tools do you already subscribe to that are about 20 bucks a month? And how many of them are you really able to leverage and use? Maybe we could swap one out. Yeah. And come join us, visit us, and see like over the next week, 2 weeks, months, year, like how you are able to do more with the subscriptions that you have. Okay. All right, guys. I'm excited. Thanks so much for joining. We're excited to see you next week. Part 2 is going to be your voice. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and onward only.